Alright, I'll do a response video to this poker face Todd guy. Probably shouldn't be bothered. Anyway, one of these libertarian defenders, like, there's no point in talking to these people. They don't get nothing. They're just cement heads, blah, blah, blah. Let's play some of this crap.
Food, or to secure, to make sure that people are safe overall. Because libertarians mainly disagree with having the federal government do these functions because it's not in the Constitution. Apparently he thinks that libertarians absolutely are against, as if libertarians are against all government.
Yeah, well, whatever. This whole constitutional argument is just idiotic. Look, government's really simple, right? There's two people, right? One person wants protection from the other person doing something to their water or to their air or to the quality of their life, either making too much noise, or they decide to have a pig farm, or they decide to do some other stupid thing, and they want some sort of protection for their lifestyle. So then you extend that to states, let's say, or counties, right? And then the counties start polluting each other's water, right? We put our little bit of poop into the stream, and then somebody else puts some poop into the stream, and pretty soon the stream is shit, right? It's not just poop, it's shit. And then you get bigger to states, and then states play the same bullshit game, right? What's the point of me voting no to nuclear power in my state if Pennsylvania, a state west of me, decides yes to nuclear power and puts its damn nuclear power plant, 5 feet off the border, right? Then my rights haven't been protected at all, so I need some other authority to protect me from the pig farmers in Pennsylvania. I mean, this really isn't complicated. So you want to do government on this little itsy-bitsy, ineffective, useless way that doesn't guarantee human rights. It just guarantees New Jerseyan rights or Pennsylvania rights and doesn't guarantee them. Quite obviously, my rights to protect myself against pollution don't do me any good whatsoever if the river that runs through my state started in your state. And if you're polluting motherfuckers, then I'm just going to be stuck with a bunch of shit running through my state. So again, this doesn't fix disputes. It doesn't help at all. It's useless. I don't want frickin' town rights. I don't want county rights. I don't want states' rights. I want goddamn human rights. Gee, you're such an idiot. I want to live in a civilization, jackass. I don't want to live in your pig shit. This is not complicated. You see, this is why it's so frustrating. You just have to do a tiny bit of thinking. All right, just a tiny bit of thinking. If you just thought about the states being people, and the fact that these people are going to have conflicting interests, and they're going to be able to hurt each other, that you need some way to control that. Idiot.
Well, that's not the truth. Libertarians are for small government close to the people.
Irrelevant to the people. Close to the people is not going to solve any of the problems. Close to the people, again, small government is totally ineffectual. It's totally meaningless in most circumstances. It just has to do then with self-interest. Close to the people. What? Okay, so I have a town. You want to segregate everybody, right? You want to create huge segregation so everybody's, a whole bunch of all the bad people with certain vices are all consolidated in certain areas. So, we have gambling, whorehouse, nasty state right the hell next to, let's have clean and decent state. And so we have all their perversions and their billboards and their nasty asses all sticking out on our state. We have to keep building higher and higher fences to protect ourselves from each other. That's the way you want to live? You want to live with a frickin' moat with guards for your children? I mean, it's just stupid. Stupid is what it is. It's just goddamn too stupid. I shouldn't have to waste my time with this crap. And now you expect me to listen to 50 minutes of your crappy, simplistic, dim-witted understanding of fucking reality. You're old enough to be able to figure out that the federal government isn't invented for nothing. It doesn't exist for no reason. It exists because humans aspire, to having complete and read the Constitution, read the words. All right? It's about individuals. It's not about states. It's about human fucking rights. The human fucking condition. Stupid pricks. Amazing. So now I just brought up the commons part, where you need regulation or people will overfish the commons. They'll destroy the land. They'll mine it and dump toxic waste and then run away. So you have to have regulations to prevent fisheries from being destroyed. You need to just call that a straw man argument. I don't know. I don't exactly understand how it's a straw man argument. It's a place where government has to be decisively strong, and onerous in its regulation, or there's failure. That's why we have a polluted ocean, retard. That's why we have problems in this world with carbon and all the rest of this stuff, is because it can't be strong enough, and especially can't be strong enough in a world. But I mean, you can't understand how that is just, we're on the brink of natural disaster for the very reason that we haven't been strong enough. Fucking idiot. And that a town can't do that. The town of Inmendham can't save the whales, fuckhead. You can't figure that out? I mean, stupid fucker. They want polluters to be free to pollute all over the world.
Well, if I am being affected by a polluter, and there is no governmental agency, a federal agency to stand in the way between me and that polluter, I can sue that polluter.
Amazing. There's no government agency to regulate the polluter, and yet he's got some agency, government agency to go to sue the polluter. To sue him under what law? You have to have a law that's violated to sue somebody, retard. Okay, so, it's just pretty stupid to say there's no federal government, we're just independent states, and somehow I can go to court and sue Pennsylvania. Well, I guess without a federal government, you can't do that. Without federal regulations, you can't do that. Stupid fuck. I mean, how can you say something so goddamn stupid? Oh, well, if there's no regulation, you could sue them. No, you have to have regulation to sue them. Man, you are so fucking... I mean, I can't... Why am I wasting my time with this? Why? Why do I let these people are too fucking stupid? Should I play more? it's I don't want to waste time playing my clips, but okay, we'll play a little more.
But because we have the federal government protecting the polluters, now...
So he says we have federal legislation that protects polluters. That's what he thinks. So this is how... And he calls my argument that we're destroying fisheries grotesquely. That's a straw man. But this argument that we have federal regulations protecting polluters is somehow rational. I mean, and this from a libertarian, right? The very people griping that the federal regulations are somehow too high and that this is a state thing. So the least you could have done is say, we have these onerous state regulations against polluters. I mean, helping polluters.
I have no power. I can't do anything about it. They've taken away my power as a human. So
explain how is your power as a human been taken away by the federal government to sue a polluter, to stop a polluter, to do any of that? How are the Federal Clean Air Act and the Federal Clean Water Act somehow preventing you from having law to which you could sue polluters? Explain this to me, shithead. Explain to me how your state regulations are higher than the federal regulations. Show me an example of that. Show me how your town regulations are higher than the federal regulations. Show me an example of that.
What you don't understand is that you have less power. You have less control over your environment, the air, the water, because the federal government gives blank checks to...
Right. Okay, I have less control because I give away my federal control to stop Pennsylvania from dumping all of their waste in my state. Yeah, sure.
Companies to pollute.
I mean, that's just a lie. Okay? I mean, you're just lying. Again, show me the federal regulations that are all beneficial okay, to polluters. Show me some regulations that do that. Show me, shithead. That have, show me the federal regulation that has stopped your state from making the environment cleaner. So this is just all such crap, and it's kind of disgusting. You have to have the argument.
I'll make a little speech right now. Just a
all right, I'll play it and I'll get back to you. All right, so I just made my little argument about how you're not going to be able to fight the empire in the sense that the monarchs are going to have the power. In 9,968 battles you have, you're going to lose 59 of them. Okay, and in the end, you might win centuries later. Okay, and a new empire will arise, but it's always going to be the empire, and the masses are always going to be the masses. It's a owner-slave relationship, and we should be able to do better than that. And here's his response.
I'm assuming that he's talking about, the little guy against the big guy in the economy. So, the big guy is making widgets, and I'm a little guy and I'm making widgets, and there's no way that I can compete with him. That's what they're saying. But in reality, most little guys get in the business of making widgets because they see that the big guy is not doing a good job, or he's not cost effective, or for whatever reason.
Right, so explain how this worked against Microsoft. Show me how the little guys making operating systems were protected. They had a fair contest and a fair fight. Show me how we, the people, had fair access to operating systems that could run software, and that Bill Gates wasn't completely protected by unfortunate government regulation regarding intellectual property that's too onerous. But regardless, he was protected in terms of his malicious destruction of other companies, and clearly his ability to just, buy out the competition. First threaten them and then buy them low. So, and I can give you the Hearst example, the Rockefeller example, the Getty example. It's all over human history here. And if you don't have regulations stopping these people, they will own everything, and the people will own nothing. And that's just the truth. And you don't want to accept the truth, well, that's because you're an idiot. But it's the simple truth. Adam Smith acknowledged the problem, so don't pretend that the invisible hand fixes this, because it doesn't. It doesn't fix the problem of inheritance. And if you're going to believe in inheritance, and you're going to believe in your cheaty little head starts, then this is the world you're going to have, is you're going to have lords and emperors, and you're going to have most of the people living in shit. And that's the world you're trying to create, you scumbag. And that's why I hate your fucking motherfucking guts, is because you're a stupid moron who's basically facilitating the empire. You suck.
He sees a niche mark. He says, I can do that, and I can do it better, and I can do it cheaper. And that's what the freedom that libertarians are talking about. Give us the power to jump in the swimming pool. The problem is...
Yeah, the problem is Walmart. Come on, get real.
The big companies, like GE, for example, they pay no taxes. And I'm sure...
Oh, this is just such an inane argument. Again, yeah, they pay no taxes. That means we, the consumers, don't have to pay their taxes, right? But they certainly pay taxes on income. And that's where we should be taxing people. Taxing business is just a sales tax. You can't figure that out? Tax a business is just a sales tax. It gets passed on to the consumer. Increase the rent that a business has to pay for their office space. They're going to put the cost onto the consumer. They're not going to take it. The frickin' owners aren't going to take a pay cut. You retard.
He, as a libertarian, would disagree with that. But GE has the ear of the president. They can go to him and say, look,
Oh, who do you think has his ear? Bill Gates and Bernanke, and go to the list of the top 500 richest people in the world, and I bet they have a bigger piece of the fucking ear. Retard.
There's a little startup company that's trying to come in, and we want there to be certain regulations that would make it almost impossible for them to get into business. make it so, well, the big companies, they're already doing it.
Oh, you're just so stupid again. The regulations, everybody has to abide by them. So again, they're just consumption taxes, okay? Any regulation has nothing to do with competitiveness, and you God well know it. I mean, frankly, this is just more preposterous nonsense. And when you look at some regulations are more onerous on the bigger your company is, the more the regulations are going to hurt you. So there's real advantage to being a small company under certain regulations. So on balance, if you gave that any kind of analysis, the restrictions on companies with over 50 employees are probably on balance, creating a burden on big companies that's just as substantial as any startup burden from the minor regulations to starting a business. It's really not that hard, okay? I mean, an LLC is what, $500? You're in business, okay? You got to do you got to file a couple of pieces of paper. Big frickin' deal. Don't pretend that these regulations are hurting you so much that you can't compete. I mean, what a lie. You can't compete because you're trying to take on something that you can't do more efficiently. They have all the advantages of mass production. And mass production is a good thing. It's only a bad thing when it becomes monopoly-owned production.
Whatever it is, the regulations that are when you're making a zillion widgets, it's real easy to have a guy putting a stamp on it, a testing stamp or whatever. Big companies that are making drugs can afford the costs involved in testing.
So we should just let any old jackass, make drugs in his kitchen, pharmaceuticals, and we should put those on the market. Yeah, that's the price of doing that kind of business. You want to do like whatever, nuclear research. Yeah, you have to obey a few regulations because you might blow up the country. Duh. God, what a fucking idiot.
Go to Congress and they say, we want everybody to do it. And, Congress is like, well, okay, well, what's in it for me? And, of course, they're going to say, all the money you need.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest straw man ever, right? I'm not defending the current democracy, okay, or the Democrats and the Republican system, so that's not my liability to defend the corruption and the lying and the cheating that goes on in Congress, all right? But that's still not the point. You're still not going to be able to show me on balance, okay, how most of the legislation is not helping the criminals. Most of it's not. All right? Most of the lack of regulation is where the criminals are made liberated. Okay? It's when they deregulated the banking system that they created all this really awful paper. And you goddamn know it.
Need to get reelected, and we'll be talking about to our customers and everybody. You'll make out good. What's the little guy got to offer to Congress?
Yeah, well, what's your little guy argument? Again, give me the list of onerous regulations, okay, and then show me the regulations that came through deregulation, and give me a comparison about which one made the bigger mess in the world. Alright, I'm back. So let's play some more of this, I suppose.
So these people who are progressive think that they're doing the little guy some favor. Well, the little guy can't get in business, can't get started, and he's trapped buying outrageously high-priced items because there is no competition.
Yeah, whatever. No, what he's trapped by is that the acquisition of wealth and surplus and the fact that it's taxed at half the rate, which means what you don't tax, what you subsidize, there'll be more of. And that's where the real game is. We're taxing workers' income. Productive workers are taxed higher than unproductive owners. And that's the world you're advocating for, that you wish to protect. The baby in the bathwater here clearly is civilization. You wish to throw it all away because some politics is corrupt. Yeah, the politics is corrupt. The progressives agree that it's corrupt. And you're just pretending that they want to protect the corruption, which they do not. So again, don't pretend that you're not both complaining about the same corruption, and don't pretend that the difference between a progressive and you is the progressive wants to throw the bathwater out, not the fucking baby. Retard.
Take drugs, for example. I've got a friend that he was on certain drugs that was costing him upwards to $500 a month. When he lost his insurance and he had to pay it all out of pocket, he found another source, and that source was out of the country, and instead of paying $500, he's paying like...
Right, and so you think that has something to do with reality here also, right? Okay, do what, I have to explain everything to you? All right, you can buy anything cheaper in Africa, okay? Because Africa is completely broken, and companies say we can still make some money. We're not going to make as much money as we would in America, but we don't have to make as much. You don't understand, like software, for example, is full of intellectual property. The disk itself is nothing. The little bits and bytes on it are nothing. But it took time for somebody to make the original copy. All right? So the thing itself has no value, right? Once you have a drug formula that works, it doesn't cost much to make the drug. But you have to make money enough to justify the amount of research and testing it took to develop the drug. You can't understand that? So let's say the drug company says, look, we produced this drug for $3. We need to make $10 billion on it to pay for what, to make a profit on our research. So, of course, they go to the market and they say, well, what can we sell in this market? And we'll price it based on what we can sell in the market. But they can obviously go to other markets, to other people that won't be competitive with this market, and they can almost give it away, for just twice the price. Because those people can afford twice the price. They won't be able to buy it at 3 times the price. They can only afford to buy it at twice the price. So the company can still make a profit, still provide the good of the drug, but they can't do that across the entire world because then they wouldn't be able to justify the expense of the research. So you don't really understand this? So, yeah, Bill Gates can afford to give away operating systems in foreign countries through some aid thing, and he gets a tax write-off for it, and that's all kind of bullshit. But the fact is, yeah, he can sell it cheaper somewhere else because he can make his money in another market, okay, and that's the market he needs to preserve. And so, yeah, it's a ripoff, but it's the ripoff of reality, okay? Would you rather that they didn't sell the drugs cheaper in Canada? That they didn't sell the drugs cheaper in Africa or in Europe? Would you rather they took away the cheaper drugs in those countries? Would that make you feel better if the poor people were shut out entirely? But you as a cheater don't want to pay the freight. You want to cheat. You want to go to the poor man country and pretend you're poor. And you're not. You're just such a slime ball. Anyway, I mean, not that I'm not sitting here defending drug companies, but just get real. That's the economics of the game. You're not going to have the fucking drugs if you don't pay for them. Duh.
$65. Same medicine, but our country has us trapped in this little circle. You have to have the insurance. The insurance has to buy it from these people. So, you pay 10 or 20%, the insurance pays the rest. So if it's $500 and the guy's paying 15 or 20% out of pocket, he's paying more than he would if he was paying the whole cost and going directly to the company.
Yeah, and we already know that our medical system is 3 times more expensive than other collectivist systems. So again, you're for making our system even more expensive, okay, by taking us out of being able to collectively bargain, taking away collective bargaining. Collective bargaining is which drives prices down, okay, not sitting there saying, let's all just be individuals and get fucked. So again, you're not going to drive prices down. You're not going to have better drugs on the market, okay, under your plan.
Or to a Canadian connection. So all regulations has done for our country has made it easier for the big guy to take advantage of the little guy. And he's talking...
Well, again, you're saying it's taking advantage, and that's just bullshit. Your example is bullshit, okay? The only reason why the cheaper drugs are in some other country is because, yeah, the drug company might as well make some money. It can't sell it at the price it sells it to Canada, or it can't make money if it sells it. Certainly, you think AIDS drugs would be financed by the people in Africa if they were the only ones buying the drugs? Do you think they could finance the development of the drug? Do you? I mean, you're silly.
About somehow or another, David and Goliath battle where the little guy is not protected unless big government comes in and...
Well, again, this is just a preposterous example because there's no little guys in drug development. I mean, yeah, you can't you can't develop drugs in your smelly, dirty kitchen. That's right. You have to get yourself enough money to buy a laboratory and buy expensive scientists. Duh, shithead. I mean, you think that's the government's fault that you can't make drugs in your kitchen? Shit.
Defends him. Big government don't give a crap about the little guy. Not even a little bit. Big government is there to get real...
Well, again, your example is no evidence of that. How are the big drug companies are stopping smaller companies from developing? There's no government policy that's preventing you from having a rationally, to building yourself a good enough competitive industry. But you have some responsibility. You can't get into the fucking oil refining business, can you, by just putting a chugger in your backyard? Do you think that's all you should have to do, is just decide I want to refine oil in my backyard? Huh? Yeah, I'll pay $25 and buy an old diesel engine, and I'll get an old oil barrel and just build a wood fire underneath it, and I'll fucking refine oil. Is that the world you want to live in, shit for brain?
Elected, and they're looking for the money. And who's got the money? GE.
So let's not pretend that he's for a fair fight. He just wants the winners to be a class, and he suspects that he'll belong to that class.
Well, the thing is, there already is a class, and they are the winners.
No, there's birthright for one reason, because we haven't done anything to stop it. All right? This is about inheritance, shithead. So you're not going to get that either? Is everything over your fucking head?
And they're already taking everything. And if you look around, you'll see...
Yeah, they're doing exactly the opposite. So again, your rhetoric doesn't meet with the facts. It doesn't meet with the facts. Capital gains taxes are half of what a worker pays on work labor. That's the truth, okay? They're not taking everything. They're taking half as much. From inherited money, they're taking nothing. So where's your argument? Where's a fact defending your argument? Show me how they're taking it all. Show it. Liar.
See that it's not getting better, it's getting worse. Under the system that you appreciate. More progression. Take more...
Right. You want to get rid of the income tax, the only progressive tax left, the only tax that hurts the rich more than the working man. You want to get rid of that and replace it with what? Some kind of flat consumption tax, maybe. I don't know what your fucking vision is, but that would do what? Oh, that's right. That would make the acquisition of surplus completely free. That would give the rich even more asset money for which they could rent it to us, rent us a life. That would give them more capital to buy up everything, to inflate the prices of everything, buy up everything, and rent it to us. That's the world you'll create, you stupid shithead. Again, you cannot make the argument that the government is a representation of the regression you're going to create, when it's doing exactly the opposite. You're the one bitching about the progressive taxation.
From the upper class and give to the lower class. What you don't understand is this is just a ruse. It's just to make everything look fuzzy and pretty.
And again, they're not taking from the upper class and giving to anything. They're taking less. Less. Not more. Less.
But the truth is, it's not happening. Do you see the rich getting poorer? Do you see the poor getting richer?
Again, your premise was a lie and completely upside down, so quite obviously that doesn't make any sense, right? You're saying they're taking all the rich man's money. They're taking less of the rich man's money than they were taking in 1970, when the middle class was the most prosperous as it was at any time in human history. So the tax rates went from 70% tax rate to a 40% tax rate, and the capital gains tax rate went to 15%. Okay, lower than any other tax paid. except for people who make less than $20,000. So to pay less than a rich man pays on capital gains, you have to make less than $20,000. And you're calling that government helping the rich. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? That's government helping the rich, isn't it? Isn't that just facilitating exactly that? And is that progressive taxation? Is that the government taking all the rich man's money? Is that evidence of the government taking all the rich man's money, taking from the rich and giving? So cutting the taxes on the rich is taking from them and giving to the poor. It's Robin Hood, okay, to cut tax rates on the rich. That's being Robin Hood. So when you tax the rich less, that's taking from the rich. Man, you're dumb. You're just too stupid, right? You're just too fucking stupid. The rich are getting richer because of Ronald fucking Reagan. Duh.
You see what I'm saying? Did you see it ever whenever under progressive or under communism or under socialism? Ever?
Yeah, right, exactly. So when we were more communistic, where we had taxes on inheritance and taxes on obscene wealth at the highest rates, we had the fastest growing prosperity for the working class in this country. So yeah, I guess it's pretty fucking obvious. How did the rich get richer? Oh, that's right, we abolished the progressive taxation and we gave the rich more money. And you're somehow arguing that that's not what took place. You're saying we got more communistic and we took more money from the rich. That's your fucking argument here. You're saying in the last 35 years we've created onerous regulations that have brutalized the rich, and that's why the rich got richer, is because we brutalized them and took all their money. Fuck, you're so fucking dumb.
No, of course not. Because the people that are in power take advantage of it.
And,
I'll be back. I'm not going to get very far into this video, right? Yeah, really. I mean, just one lie after a lie after a lie after a lie. That's all these libertarians do. They're just liatarians. Liatarian. Okay, I just said that we can do the fairness thing. We've made fair games. Fairness is really the objective here, and anything that creates more fairness is good. Anything that creates less fairness is bad.
You know, when you say rational people, what you're trying to say is people that agree with you are rational, and everybody else is not.
No, what I'm saying is there's no rational argument you can provide, okay? We know that rationally, we can see that baseball is rationally consistent with a rational notion of a fair game. We know, yes, that guy shouldn't be able to put a steel rebar in his bat. That guy shouldn't be able to use big giant spikes on his feet. This guy shouldn't be... We can understand what fairness is. Rational people know what fairness is. If you come up with a proposal to change the game, everybody will be able to see whether it enhances fairness or it destroys fairness. It's not complicated shit for brains. And everybody can see that this system is fundamentally unfair, and it's quite overt and quite obvious, and you fuckers don't want to fix the part that's unfair. You want to make it more unfair.
You know, come on. Are we having a discussion about what's, what I believe as opposed to what you believe, and maybe I can learn something from your beliefs, and maybe you can learn something from my beliefs?
Yeah, well, look, I'm the one who studied this shit and actually knows what the fuck I'm talking about, so I don't think I'm going to learn anything from the fucking 5-year-old who hasn't figured out that birthright isn't a good idea. I mean, these principles are not complicated. Again, you're the one arguing that somehow we have made it worse in this country through federal onerous policy for rich people to get rich. That somehow the rich have been stopped in their capacity to be rich anymore because of communism, that we've become communistic over the last 30 years. That cutting the taxes on the richest people in the universe is somehow communistic. That's your fucking lie, shithead. What am I going to learn from you except how to be a liar? I'm not a liar. I'm not an asshole. I'm not an idiot. So why would your propaganda do anything but irritate the fuck out of me?
Or have you already decided that you're right, You know,
Yeah, of course, I've decided I'm right. That's what I do. When I decide I'm fucking right, then I make a fucking video explaining this is the goddamn truth, fuckers. And if you have an argument, I'll listen to it. But if all you got are lies and propaganda, well, then I'm not going to listen to it. I'm going to call you a lying, propaganding asswipe. And that's what you are. You've demonstrated you don't understand shit about why there's a price differential on drugs in different countries. You understand nothing about monopolies and how they can destroy small businesses easily because they can afford to lose money for 10 fucking years, so they can drive anybody out of business if they really have to. So again, you're the one who has shown yourself to be profoundly fucktarded. And I'm going to learn something from you? No, sorry. I learned how not to shit in my pants, okay, when I was like, well, at least when I was 5. So yeah, I'm not as dumb as you. I don't shit my fucking pants.
surely, I agree that I think I'm right. But
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm just saying, you think you're right, and yet what you say can be demonstrated to be fucktarded and idiotic. You don't understand the commons. You don't understand public resources. You don't even understand how you can't sue somebody unless you have a law, that you have to have a court to go to that's above the place you're in. If you're a county and some other county's fucking you over, you have to go to some higher authority court. I can't sue you in my court because they're just going to say, fuck you, that's your court. Duh.
open. I'm listening. I don't assume naturally that you're not a rational person just because I disagree with you.
For a good match.
Well, look, you're not even paying attention to the video, okay? The point in the video, okay, it wasn't making an accusation about your rationality. It's making it the point that there's no rational argument defending birthright. It doesn't make any sense, okay? Yeah, don't judge a man by the color of his skin. Don't judge a man by the content of his character. Judge a man based on what vagina he fell out of. That's what you're defending. All right? And that's explicitly what you're defending. Make sense of that. Anyway, I'll be back. Okay, so I just made the fair football, fair soccer match point. Let's see what he does to that.
Any of that got to do with the government?
There you go. I mean, you just can't get any dumber than this, right? Yeah, what? Oh, okay, so let's read the Constitution. What did it say? All men are created equal, endowed with innate rights. You don't think that the Bill of Rights was defined and established to create something called fairness? You don't think that's what it's after? You don't think that's what was on Thomas Jefferson's mind when he wrote the fucking thing? Asshole. I mean, really, you don't think that all legislatures, when they're not being, personally wheeling and dealing and corrupt, aren't doing something like fairness? You don't think your local legislature, like these honest guys who just want to run for council, that they aren't trying to do some kind of fairness thing? Shit.
What, you're talking about private institutions here. Nothing to...
Again, private institutions. Well, I believe the NFL is a 50c3 organization. I mean, quite obviously, they're public institutions in that they are completely, they're subsidized by public acceptance, and they enjoy the privileges of majority, whatever, hit the lever, finance the ball stadium. So let's not pretend that their privateness is some sort of real privateness. They're played publicly. We all see the game being played. We all see whether the rules are being obeyed. There's no backdoor baseball going on. The baseball does happen on the field. Okay, so who owns the Gladiator Stadium has little to do with the fact that the game itself is a fair game. So again, take a metaphor and ignore the principle of it. The principle of it is that the game is created to create fairness. That's why umpires are there. That's why they make rules. It's all to create a fair game. And they accomplish the fucking task. That's the point. But ignore that and play your little silly games. Because that's all you got as a libertarian, is lies and silly word games.
Do it all with the government. I mean, you want to talk about what's fair, and then you watch GE pay nothing, and then...
Well, it's another argument you've already made again, right? Well, they pay nothing one year, then they pay a ton the next year, and then they pay nothing, and then they pay a ton. It's just like oil companies and airlines. Airlines go bankrupt, right? Well, airlines have really good periods where they make a ton of money, then they have really bad periods where they lose a ton of money. Yeah, that happens in the real world, shithead. I imagine GE probably took some losses on Fukushima. Who knows? I don't know why GE didn't pay any taxes, but we know that there's reasons why, because they have losses, and those losses can be written off their taxes. And again, I'm not even for business taxes anyway, so to me, the more taxes companies can write off, the better, because I don't see any point whatsoever in taxing a company.
And you watch the guy that's trying to raise a family of 4 pay out the nose.
Right. So the rich man cannot pay his income taxes, and we end up having to borrow money from him and pay him to lend us the money because you assholes won't let us tax him. And some inheritance cunt flops out of the vagina, and you think it's too onerous to tax the first $2 million. And $2 million of tax-free isn't enough. They need more than $2 million tax-free. They need it all tax-free. Huh? And you're going to talk to me about fairness? Fuck you.
And somehow or another, that's fair. Because that guy paying out the nose is making more than the other guy down the street that doesn't have as much. You know?
No, that didn't make any sense. First you're talking about GE, and now you're talking about the other guy down the street? So what are we comparing now? What kind of apple am I comparing to what orange?
It's a nice, fair boxing match.
Okay. Well, you know where I'm going. We'll see what he does with that one. I'll be back.
You know, these aren't laws that keep them from taking the steroids. It's the individual institutions that come together and say, look, we're competing here.
Look, you asshole, you don't know what a metaphor is? I'm using it as an example. I'm not saying sports is regulated by the government. I'm not saying sports was created by the government. I'm saying that when you want to create fairness, we know how to do it. We've demonstrated that human civilization, people in society, this reality, in this world, on this fucking planet, we have demonstrated a capacity to recognize fairness and create it. That's the point, shithead, that you can't say fairness is unattainable when we have attained it. We can make games that are played fairly and that have fair rules. We know what it is. We've demonstrated it. People have endorsed it. They've said they wanted it. They want their athletes to be in a fair fucking game. You just can't be this fucking manipulative. This is not that complicated.
It's not fair. So if you get caught, then we're not going to let you participate. It's not a law. You're not breaking any law. You just can't participate anymore. You're breaking the...
No, there's laws now. Okay, so you can pretend there's laws.
Rules. It's like if you're a racer and you take a shortcut and you win. You know, you don't go to jail for it.
But it's not.
Well, you can go to jail for fraud. So again, that's a whole other subject. But that's not the point. The point is why doesn't that happen all the time? Why isn't there all this extensive cheating happening? It's because they have rules. They have bylaws. They have things you must do. You must conform to testing, and you must conform to these frickin' procedures, or you're not allowed to play. You have to be willing to play by the rules, and if you do play by the rules, the fact is we're all seeing that that's the way to do it. It's better to have a game played by rules than a game that isn't played by rules. That's the simple argument here, shithead. Your underlying philosophy is that chaos would be better, that it'd be a better game without rules, that we don't need to have rules, that there doesn't have to be any real hand that does anything, that all the invisibleness will take care of it. The invisible will decide whether it's a fair ball or a foul ball. Bullshit.
Do this idiotic nonsense, and so we do something to correct.
Oh, okay. It's me again. I'll be back.
About our government, and when they find an issue, they fix it. They come up with a rational, reasonable explanation of what we can do to fix it. Well, throughout history, almost every single thing that the government's done to
Almost every single thing. So get this. This is what he's making an argument that almost every single thing the government's done, that is, like, take DDT out of the environment. The 9 million examples I can give you.
resolve an issue
Eradicate smallpox.
has made it worse.
There you go. So there you go. So that's your fundamental idea, that civilization has been made worse by every single thing the government did. So when it broke up AT&T, that was wrong. When it sued Microsoft, that was wrong. Every single thing. When it attempts to protect fisheries or protect the environment, Love Canal was the way we should live. We should live with pollution running right down our streams. Government intervention is so fucking wrong. Really, this is your fucking idiotic. I'm supposed to somehow what? How again? Something stated so preposterously, so overstated, so idiotically stated. How can I possibly have any respect for you when you use a grotesque overstatement like that? I mean, that's like, calling some kid who steals a gumdrop at the store Adolf Hitler. I mean, your fucking use of words is just, it deserves no respect. I mean, it's so outrageous.
Look at school loans. Before school loans, the average kid could get an after-school job and pay for his schooling.
Okay, so somehow school loans has to do with there's something to do with the fact that we have imported cheap labor from foreign countries and exported industry to other countries. So the fact that kids can't get any decent jobs is somehow a symptom of the government providing low-interest loans. I mean, that's all these loans are, right? They're just loans that are lower interest than what the kid could expect to get from a bank. So subsidizing the interest rates on loans, and I don't know what the subsidy is exactly. I mean, obviously the default rate has gotten so high that the subsidy might end up being quite high. But in principle, they're just giving somebody a better loan deal. No one's forcing a kid to get into a loan contract that they can't finance. So again, let's not, you're just such a liar. What is onerous about the government providing lower interest loans? Explain how that is an offense to freedom. Explain how that's a horrible, evil thing to do. To give students the opportunity to finance their education. I mean, this guy is just so outrageous.
That's unheard of anymore. Now they have to borrow huge amounts of money and then have this debt hang over them.
Well, we know that's not the truth, okay? It's just that it's really a bitch for kids that have to go. I worked when I was a kid, okay? I saved all my money, so I didn't go to parties, and I was never home on the holidays. And yeah, I lived kind of a meager existence because I wanted to save money for my future and all that kind of crap. And yeah, kids could do that. They're not raised to do that, so they don't end up doing that. And maybe that's not a great thing. But I don't think it's a great thing either. I think we should be paying kids to learn rather than forcing them to pay to learn. So the world you want to live in is something where everybody has to make $1 on every friggin' transaction. Well, in my world, only the productive make money. And these fucking lazy-ass rich inheritance cunts make nothing. Let them eat fucking dog do.
many of them for the rest of their lives.
Again, yeah, and who are they paying the money to? They're paying it to some asshole who fell out of a vagina, who inherited a bunch of money and now will loan it. Right? It's still the same banker system, buddy. All right? And that system isn't about earning it. It's about inheriting it.
Do that.
Okay. I'll be back. Apparently I won't be back. There's only 30 seconds left. So anyway, I don't know if I want to play this whole thing. It's just too stupid, right? This guy isn't going to learn anything. He's not going to concede anything. His fundamental philosophy is absolute shit, and he won't recognize it. He just won't recognize, yes, I'm a selfish cunt. I have a silly notion of somehow I'm going to win the big fight, and, and once I win, it's going to be fun because I'll be able to, piss on the poor. I mean, he's just a fucking asshole.